I'm Scott Kinville on Small Town Life, right here on the Studio 25 Podcast Network. With me today is the esteemed mayor of the Village of Ilion, Mr. John Stevens. John, how are you?
Good morning, Scott. Esteemed. Wow.
Big words already.
Yeah, big words. I got to look that one up.
I figure what better way to make you feel welcome.
Yeah,
you know?
Exactly. In the new digs, no less.
Yeah, right? Yeah. Well, that's what it's all about, because we have a new studio, so we're classy now.
Oh, okay. All right.
And we use big
Until
words.
I walked in the door.
Yeah, yeah.
I drove that right down
Where
the bottom
is that
of the barrel.
drum roll again?
Yeah, pretty much.
There you go.
Oh, jeez.
So, my friend,
Yes.
being the Village of Ilion mayor, there's a lot going on up in the village right now.
Yeah.
We'll start off with the aquatic issues.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
there's been some water main breaks
Yep.
that you'd like to talk about. Fill the public in on what's really going on.
Yeah. Obviously, we all know, or you should know, that we're in the middle of a $38 million infrastructure improvement program. That was started back in 2018. And there was 10 public hearings and various public informations held explaining what was going to happen. We're doing about a third, a little bit less than a third of the village is getting all water mains replaced. People are commenting that, all the water mains, all of them. No, that would be hundreds of millions of dollars to do that. We just can't. Our infrastructure is old, as is everybody else's in the Northeast. We know that. We've been having an issue with water main breaks in the downtown area over the last month and a half. And through with the engineers, Barton and LaJudas, we're working on figuring out if something changed to start causing that, more pressure on older lines, or because, what we fixed was the problem areas at that point. Now they're fixed. Now the other problem areas are starting to rear their ugly heads.
Right.
So we're working on that. But it's not something that's going to get done overnight. The infrastructure in Ilion, some of those pipes, especially the one that we're having the big issue with now on Central Ave at Seago Street, back in the old days when they put a main in, they leaded the date 1896. Wow. So that's how old that water main is.
Wow.
No, that's crazy.
And it's crazy, but ironically, if we've cut sections out of that to put valves in on the newer mains, that pipe is crystal clear inside because the water flows constantly through that, so it doesn't give time for anything to build up. But I know the people are out there in social media land commenting on, in front of Aldi's, there's been a main break for a month. No, there hasn't. We've fixed the main breaks. What the water in the road is the valves leaking. The best way I can put it is if you go down in your basement and you still have the old spigot to turn off your water and on your water, and you haven't used that in years, and all of a sudden you turn it off and then you start getting that drip, that means your packing is old. You know, and we always grab a crescent wrench and we crank on that little nut there and it tightens up and doesn't leak anymore. That's what happens with these valves in the village. Now the next phase of our project is the valve replacement. All the valves in the village are getting replaced. That I can say all. Because they're supposed to be exercised, just like what I said about your in your own home. So with that replacement project for the valves comes an exercise program that 2 or 3 times a year, there's a machine that will go around and move the valves, turn them on, turn them off, and that keeps them viable, workable. They're not going to leak all over the place. So that's the things that the board, we're frustrated right now just as much as everybody else, because we don't understand, we don't have a very good reason, nor does the engineers, of why this is suddenly occurring. Obviously, when we figure that out, the public will be the second to know because we'll be the first.
Right.
But the information will go out there. Myself and the board are very good about trying to stay on top of the issues and get that information out to the public. We have a Facebook page. I try to get water mains and any type of an emergency situation, I try to get out there. But like I've told others, my first thought when I get to something like that isn't to pick up my phone and start posting what's going on. There's other things that need to be done. And I guess that's probably the evil side of giving that information is now it's expected. So, we've been very transparent, regardless of what anybody says. I can sit here with 100% certainty and tell you and tell the world that there's never been a board in the history of the village that has been as open with information as we are. We basically put everything that we can out there. Now, as we were talking before we went on the air, we have 2 meetings a month. second and fourth Mondays at 5:30. They're open to the public. Please come. We beg people, please come to the meetings. Let us know what your thoughts are, good, bad, or indifferent. We don't think everything's rainbows and unicorns. It's
Right,
there's
right.
stuff out there that's not good. We get that. The village streets are horrendous. We know that. But they're horrendous because we're still in the middle of this project. I'm not going to pave a street when we're going to dig it up to put a water main in.
Right.
We'll wait till it's all done. Slow down. You know where the bad streets are. We all know them. Slow down. Take your time. Go down the street. Eventually, once the water project is done, those streets will get rehabbed. So they'll be fine. Your lawns will be fine. But people think it's got to be done now. Well, last winter, they shut down for the winter. Phones started ringing. How come my lawn wasn't? We're not done yet. What do you mean we're not? I said, this is a almost 3-year project. You're at the end of year 1. You still got 2 more to go.
Right. Let me ask you a question about that. So is it just the village workers that are doing the work, or is there outside contracting involved as well?
No, it's all outside.
Okay.
There's no village.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just want to make that clear because...
we had 2 different jobs, 2 different areas by 2 different contractors, which I asked that question when I took over. Why have I got 2 different contractors doing the same exact work?
Right.
It was how the funding was awarded. So we got funding for one portion. We bid that. A group from the Albany area. It's called Louisi Brothers Construction. They're very good at this. They do it. That's what they do. And then there was a second smaller funded project, what we call up behind Remington, on the east side of the village. That was done by Robinson Brothers out of the Cortland area. That section they're done. They're not in town anymore. The only thing left there is what we call punch list items. You go around and say, okay, you missed this driveway, or, we got to put grass seed here. But the paving portion of that is going to be all done by the other contractor. They subcontracted the other contractor. So when they come in to pave, they're going to do everything.
Right.
And that hopefully will be done by October, but it might not be. It depends what we run into. As with anything underground, once you dig something up, it might not be exactly what you thought was there. I mean, we've looked at plans from back in the urban renewal days in 1972, 3, 4, 5, and said, that doesn't show on there. Where'd that come from? Once you dig it up, and it's like, okay, you got rid of downtown Ilion basically, and
right.
Unless you work there, you don't know. And none of us, I was 4 or 5 years old. None of the employees that we have there now that work for the village, most of them weren't even born.
Right. Well, and not to mention, just the scope of how everything is done has changed so much from way back, even before urban renewal. If you're going to replace pipes now, there's so much higher of a standard of piping you have to use.
Oh,
so
absolutely.
In a lot of cases, it's got to be entirely rebuilt because it's just simply not going to be compatible with what you had. Correct.
And to your point, Scott, that Central Ave issue that I talked about in front of Aldi's, it's an old 6-inch water main, and it's failing. We've had 4 breaks there in 4 weeks. And for whatever reason, it happened on a Sunday. So the last 4 Sundays have been on Otsego Street or Central Ave, which is the same main. It's just a different name once you cross the intersection. But the last 6 weeks, our water crews have been out fixing water mains on the weekends. So they're tired. I have a water main distribution crew of 3. Those are the first 3 called in. And then they ask for help from the treatment plant crew or the DPW. So, and they're out there 10, 12, 15 hours sometimes on a Sunday. The overtime's great, but they don't even want the overtime anymore. They just want to be able to stay home on a Sunday.
Yep.
So
I can sympathize.
Yeah, you know that. Exactly. So right now, I went to the engineers, Barton and the Judas, and said, look, that main is just going to continue to cause us problems. We were very fortunate that one of the employees from Louisi Brothers, who's doing is Ken Scott, who's a retired distribution foreman. He worked 32 years for the village. Mm-hmm. He says, there's a 10-inch main right across the street. I said, what do you mean? He says, on the east side of Central Ave is a 10-inch main. The only 2 things that are off that 10-inch main are Aldi's and O'Reilly's. I said, well, okay. He says, I can see your wheels turning and I know where you're going. Why don't we just use that? I said, yeah, why don't we just transfer all the houses? There's I think there's less than a dozen homes on that section. Mm-hmm. Transfer them over to that 10-inch main from Pine Street to Spruce Street, where we're having most of the breaks. Well, just because it stops at Spruce Street and then cuts up and goes in front of the old Duofold plant, which is a 10-inch main.
Okay.
So from there to Spruce Street to Pine Street is the old 6-inch. I said, why don't we just put a new 8-inch main in that 150-foot section, tie everything else into the 10-inch, and we're all standing there going, yeah, Well, the big dumb fireman had a pretty good idea, didn't he? So
you might know a little something about water.
Well, yeah, exactly. So I called Barton and LaJudas, the engineer. They came down. The supervisor of the project, Louisi's, Eric Gravelding, he's actually a local guy as well. Him and Ken Scott and I sat in the office, and in 2 hours we had a whole thing all drawn up that eliminated all of the problems on Central Ave. There was a section where you had to turn 13 valves off to get the water to shut down. That's going to be gone. Completely gone. So you're going to turn off a valve on North Street, you're going to turn off a valve on Spruce Street, and everything in between will be off. You can work.
So this is in process then?
Absolutely. They're doing it right now. Yeah, they started yesterday.
Now, will this solve the problems of the water main breaks along Central Ave?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, because it all now everything comes off that 10-inch main.
Okay, just want to make sure, because...
And I'm not saying that 10-inch main couldn't break.
Right.
Obviously it could,
right.
But that 6-inch come this winter, I mean...
Oh, that would have been a disaster.
In the middle of summer, it's breaking. We all know what happens in the winter.
Sure.
Everything moves, everything freezes, so that would be worse. So we're going to hopefully avoid that issue. But do we put something else? Like I said earlier, is that going to push something else, an issue somewhere else?
Right.
We don't know. But we're working and fixing that problem. When the next problem rears its head, we'll fix that problem.
When you're working on a scale of this...
Yeah,
this magnitude,
exactly.
It's almost like playing a game of whack-a-mole.
Yeah, it is. It is. And the people need to understand that we're not just sitting around. There's stuff that goes on every single day. I average 8 to 10 hours a day in the office, and sometimes I go in on Saturday and Sunday just because the phone's not ringing, people aren't knocking on my door. Just because it's quiet and I can get some work done. It's busy. We're a busy place. There's always something going on, and this stuff doesn't just magically get fixed. It takes time. We left those valves running on purpose. We know that, and I get the phone calls and look, do I understand what you're complaining about? Yeah. Is it kind of a weak complaint? Yeah. I just washed my car and had to drive through the water. Go around. I don't know what to tell you. It's dangerous for us on a motorcycle. I understand that, but it's a necessity to keep the operations going in the proper direction.
Right.
We don't do anything just to irritate people. It's done for a reason. We've probably got 7 or 8 valves that are leaking that we've left that way on purpose. And people, there's a water main break. No. We've put it out there. We've exhausted every avenue that we know of to inform people.
So, bottom line right now, there's going to be water on Central Ave because you're leaving the valves leaking.
Yeah.
Period.
Until that's fixed. Yeah. And that could be next week. It could be a month from now. It depends on what they run into. But until we get everything changed over to that 10-inch main, there's going to be water on Central Ave in front of Aldi's and O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Okay. That's actually very good to know because, not for nothing, if you don't know much about the project and you're driving like, oh my goodness, there's water all over the place. There's got to be a water main break. So,
but to your point, Scott, that's been publicized.
Right. Right.
But I don't know. Again, we've exhausted every way of notifying the public that we know of. I've been on the radio. I've been on TV. We do the social media. We do the website.
Now you're on Small Town Live.
Now I'm on Small Town Live.
He's hit the big time.
Yeah, big time. Exactly. We've sent letters in their bills. I didn't know about this. I short of me knocking on everybody's door personally, there's nothing else I can do.
What's holding you up?
Because most of the people don't answer their doors anyways. I had to go down the street when we had a water main break and tell people, look, you're going to have water shut off for probably a half hour. And out of the dozen homes I knocked on, 3 people answered the door. And one was done through the Ring doorbell. Hey, can I help you, John? Because they're friends of mine. I said, yeah, we're going to tell Papa, and I turn around and walk back down the street and somebody's walking out the door. I said, ma'am, I just knocked on your door. Oh, yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Okay.
LA?
And I get that, they don't know me, so if
Sure,
they're looking,
sure.
they're not going to open the door for some big ugly dude with a goatee and
kind of
scary.
scary.
Yeah,
Scary. He's scary looking, right?
In a lime vest and a white helmet.
Well, what is
what's
this
guy going? What's this guy want? So but that and that's that's just the reality of it. Is we've notified in every way we can figure out how. I can't force people to come to meetings. I can't force people to read anything. I can't force people to listen or watch TV or anything like that. If you want to be informed, then pay attention, I guess is the best way to put it. But no, they'd rather go to Facebook or Twitter or X or whatever it's called nowadays and just start wailing away on how we don't know what we're doing.
We can force them to watch this.
Yeah,
we'll just
sure.
force them.
Well, I'll leave that up to you, Dave.
We have ways.
So insofar as the water project goes, so, I mean, obviously we know we're trying to switch over to the 10-inch main on Central Ave.
Yep.
What are some of the top priorities right now for you guys in the timeline that we got going on?
Well, we've done basically the water main portion of the project is complete. It's like 98% complete.
Okay.
There's not much main line, we call it, to put in. The contractor's wrapping up small stuff. This has kept them probably in the village another month because of what they're doing here. All the water meters have been replaced. That was another whole why are we doing this question. Well, because the meters that we took out were 30 years old and inefficient, and we couldn't get parts to fix them anymore.
Right.
So this board said, look, we're going to put all new meters in out of the project. We can read all of the meters in the village now in 3 hours. It's all drive-by. You drive down the street and the computer loads it, reads it, bang, 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 you're all done in 3 hours. It doesn't take 2 guys to go out and do it in 2 weeks.
Which saves you anyway, because now you haven't got to pay
exactly.
2 guys to go around all day. Yeah.
Yep. Sure. So that part is done. That's probably 98% complete as well. There's some people that just don't. I'm not getting a new meter. Well, unfortunately, the law allows us to charge you $250 a month as a penalty for not doing that.
Right.
And then, you threatened me with it. No, I didn't threaten anybody, for starters. That's just the way we have to do it. So,
and why wouldn't you want a new one after 35 years?
Well, because
they're more accurate,
because it's
too. Yeah.
Well, and that's part of the problem is that's where people are saying, well, my water bill went up. No, your water bill didn't go up. It might have, but we didn't raise rates. It's a more efficient reading.
Yes.
Mine did. My personal water bill is like $6 more a month now. And my wife says, why is it? I said, because you got a brand new meter down there that's reading everything 100%. Versus the one that they took out that, you might have had water, it might have been 85% efficient.
Yeah.
So that we've got that part done. The next part that will go out to bid here, hopefully by the end of this month, is that valve replacement. So then they'll be in and they'll be taking all the valves out, putting new ones in there. Again, that this whole thing is a lot of money. It's $38 million. That's a lot of money.
Sure it is.
That's a lot of money.
Sure it is.
So, and that's on top of, that there's, Duofold, Remington. It's a constant battle every day.
Let's go there.
Okay, let's. Which one do you want to handle first, Duofold or Remington?
Duofold. The wall fell down. Let's do Duofold.
All right. Ironically, Monday night we had the developer and John Pizik from the IDA came to our board meeting, gave us an update. The developers are still very interested in staying in that complex. What did come down didn't really affect the plans that they had made for that. So, we're in the process now of signing an extension on their due diligence period, which allows them more time to look into environmental stuff and, structural things and things like that. Contrary to comments out there, the property was never sold. Okay.
So the village still owns it?
We still own the property.
Okay.
We are in an agreement for sale. So there's a purchase agreement for sale.
Just a letter of intent.
It's a letter of intent, basically.
So
yes.
it's all a process.
It's a process, yes.
It's not like you just snap your fingers, wave the magic wand, and it's done.
No, they had the company originally had 270 days to do their due diligence, which apparently all these investors, that's a common phrase for them, so that they can go look at the property, make sure that they're not going to invest millions of dollars in something that's not worth investing in. So that has come to an end, and they filed for an extension. We're looking over all the legal beagles are looking over the stuff now and I'm fairly certain that we'll grant them the extension to continue on with doing what they're doing. Now, do I understand people's comments about, well, we haven't seen anything being done? Well, no, you haven't. It's all right now. It's all in the process. Everything being done is either office work or filing for more funding, or you might get an EPA person on site every once in a while to look at things. But there's no shovels in the ground. Trust me, there's nobody in America that wants to see a shovel in the ground down there worse than I do. Okay, and I made that point very well known the other day. So that's still a valid project. They're still very interested in that entire complex. We as a village, we're trying to figure out where to get the funding to clean that up. Obviously we didn't budget for anything like that.
Sure.
It was nothing that we expected. The comment was out there that it was structurally sound, and it was. The engineering report for the building as it sits now came back and said it's structurally okay. Back in the day, it's no different than the old mills here. They don't need the roofs. They don't need the flooring. The four walls are they're standing.
Right.
Now, a tornado or high winds or whatever it was that came through there, well, it could have been somebody's house, that went instead of that,
Sure.
So, all the, again, all the engineers out there, and I'm throwing up air quotes because,
do it for real.
They're not the engineers. They said it was structurally sound. Well, I'm not a structural engineer. I'm just going by the reports that I have. Absolutely, they came and said it is. We had an engineer come in and do after the failure. He came in and said, "Look, this is okay. This you're going to want to shore up within the next few weeks, not months or years, or that has the ability to do the same thing if you get some sort of weather event." The LaHinch Group is the investor. They know this. It was their engineer. He's the one that came. But everything is still a go with that facility, that complex, and they've got a very, you're looking at close to $40 million investment for that. So now you're looking at $78 million of investments going into the village.
Now, can you comment any further about what might be coming of all that, or
no? They gave, well, yeah, I can, but I don't know. They gave us okay,
some poorly worded question there.
They gave us conceptual drawings of what they were looking at. It's going to be a multi-use. It's going to be housing. It's going to be commercial. It's going to be retail. There could be some light manufacturing in there, hopefully. That's a 12-acre project or complex. It's fairly large.
Mm-hmm.
It's not overly huge, but that's a pretty good chunk of land for the village. Basically that's the only place left we have to develop, other than where we're going next. They've got great ideas. They've got interest. So they're continuing to move forward. There's nothing. They didn't come in and say, "Nope, we're out. We're done. We're walking away." They haven't said that. So,
Excellent. All right, so why don't we
shift
gears over to Remington then? That's a perfect segue.
Segue to Remington.
So before we do that, though, I'll tell you what, we're going to take a quick commercial break so that we can get a sip of coffee here, recharge the batteries for a second, and then we'll be right back, okay?
Visit My Little Falls and stay connected with the latest news, information, and events in the city and the area. Our mission is to generate interest in the community and connect residents in a more meaningful way by facilitating deeper conversations about how these stories will shape the future of the Mohawk Valley. Join thousands of weekly visitors who stay up to date with feature stories, interviews, videos, our event calendar, and print publication, the Mohawk Valley Express. It's about timely local news for the community, keeping citizens informed about important issues, telling about the people who live and work here, and giving locally owned businesses the opportunity to reach a very targeted audience of locals and tourists alike. It's a whole new form of media-rich content developed specifically for today's mobile lifestyle and listeners. You can download our iOS app in the iTunes Store, listen to our country music streaming radio station, or sign up for a weekly newsletter. Stop by today at mylittlefalls.com. You'll be glad you did.
And we're back after I got a sip of coffee out of my super awesome Studio 25 podcast mug here.
When you hold it just right, it says stud.
It does really. I should not be. I should not be holding it then. That's
Yeah, right.
Thanks, guys.
that's all. Goodbye.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, but if you want one of these awesome mugs, you can stop right by here to the studio in Little Falls and Canal Place. Yeah. So just a little cheap plug.
Yeah, the Antique
Shameless.
Center.
Yeah,
Shameless plug.
Shameless.
We're shameless. We have other things too. You know,
we do
all kinds of stuff.
Lots of stuff. You stop by and see it.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
All right, we're back with Ilion Mayor John Stevens. So we've covered the water.
Yep.
We've covered Duofold.
Yep.
And now we're going to go to the other big topic.
Yep. Remington.
Yep. So obviously we know they left. We're not going to beat that to death.
No,
that's already been done and over with.
That's a pulp.
We move forward.
That horse is beat to a pulp. There's nothing left.
More than that. So,
yeah, exactly.
But moving forward.
Yes.
So what are we looking at?
I can't say a lot, but I can tell you that there's a very interested party in the facility.
The whole complex?
The whole complex.
Really?
The whole shebang. And I have a every other week phone call with this outfit. They're doing back to the due diligence portion, like we spoke with Duofold. Sure. They're into that. And as I've stated publicly before, there's really not much you can put in there that's going to offend me as long as it's occupied.
Right.
I mean, I don't want, obviously, I don't want,
yeah.
housing of.
Right. Yeah. But let me,
jail inmates. You could put.
Well, yeah.
They're closing some prisons.
But let me ask you this: with a complex like Remington, it's actually an advantage to have something that just moved out because the building is still in the buildings, I should say.
Buildings are in great shape.
Still in great shape. Yep. They were maintained.
Yep.
It's not like that complex sat dormant for 10, 20 years.
No, not at
so
all. You're right.
That's got to be a huge advantage.
It is. And Scott, I've toured that place more in the last year than I have in 57 before that. And I didn't even know that the original factory is still within that complex.
Oh, no kidding.
The original factory is there, and it's gorgeous.
Wow.
It is one of these old post and beam that, these people love redoing that and, putting the varnish on, and it's in phenomenal shape. Now, obviously, with a 1.1 million square foot facility, you're going to have a leaky roof here and a leaky roof there.
It's bound to happen.
And they know that. But overall, the factory's in very good shape. It's in very good condition. The floors are still, the floors are 2x12s on end laminated together. So they drive tow motors over those all day long. And,
right.
Facility-wise, it's in good shape. I do have a problem. About every 3 weeks, I have to jump on the current owner and tell him, hey, look, go mow your lawn. Because I can't bust people's chops in the village that don't mow their lawns.
Right.
If I can't, I'm going to treat them the same way. Yeah, exactly. Well, how come I drive down Main Street or Otsego Street and there's 4-foot weeds there? Huh? Good point.
I got to get a machete to get through.
Exactly. But there's very, we had a lot of tire kickers. We really did. That's what I refer to them as. So, hey, they call up, hey, I'm interested in. Oh, okay. Well, put your money where your mouth is, and we'll see what happens.
Right.
So this company, this developer, I guess, is basically the best way to put them. Is very serious. There's a purchase offer on the table.
Wow.
So I don't know. I don't know what it is. I don't care.
No. No. Hey,
it's not for me to handle.
That's right. But you know what though? That's progress.
Yeah. Exactly. But other than that, I don't have a lot of details that I can discuss. I've kind of been, and that's the way apparently the big world, the corporate world works. Is everything's a secret until it's not.
Sure. What are some of the advantages to someone who might purchase that? In other words, what are some unique things about it?
Right now, it's wide open. There's no machines left. Everything's gone. It was all auctioned or moved to down south. Saying the city makes my mouth hurt, so it tastes bad when I say it, so I'll just say down south. So the building's wide open. We walked through it last, and all of the last of the machines were all loading out. You don't realize how big the place is until there's nothing there. You walk into like the old heat treat, and it's like, wow, look
cavernous.
At that. And you'll laugh when I say this, but there was one portion. The first thing that came to my mind. Hockey rink.
Yeah.
And you want to put a hockey rink in there?
Well,
there's nothing to laugh about that. That's awesome.
That came into my head, and I mentioned it, and it wasn't shut down. It wasn't no, we'll never do that.
Oh.
So
I mean, actually,
who knows?
It's funny. You know what, Dave and I, when all this started happening, when Remington was leaving and all that, we actually kind of talked something, but just on the side amongst us, what like a recreation complex, and not the whole thing, but I mean, at least part of it.
Yeah.
How that would look, because I mean, you got all the parking lot space as well.
And I pushed for that at Duofold too. I said, hey, you can build an indoor hockey rink here that doesn't have to be just hockey. It could be soccer in the
box
summer, box lacrosse,
anything.
multi-use facility.
The county's looking at doing something like that. Here you have an opportunity, right?
Yeah,
there it is. And I'll tell you, you build an indoor hockey or an ice skating rink, even. Yeah, people are going to flock to it.
Yes.
Well, there's differing opinions on that between me and some others that. Well, we did a study and it won't support that. And I tell them.
Well, if you just study Ilion, it won't.
No,
but if you study the region,
you study the region. Well, there's all these sheets of ice in Oneida County. I says, yeah, they're full 24 hours a day.
Yeah, exactly.
I said, listen, you're talking to a guy that lived that life for a long, long time. I know what people want. I know in that area. I mean.
And especially something that's brand new, they're gonna. I gotta check that out.
Absolutely. So there's a lot of different options out there that are being discussed. They know where I'm pushing. Yep. Because I mention the hockey rink every time. Hey, boy, that's a great section right there. Well, perfect. All wide open. So we'll see what happens. But
have you mentioned that to the developer?
Oh yeah.
And you got a head nod?
I didn't get a no.
Okay, all right.
Hey,
see, Scott, that's how you push a little bit further than you're supposed to.
Yeah,
there it is. See,
and off air, I'll tell you something when we're not on air.
All right.
So yeah, I'm very optimistic, as I've remained optimistic about this the entire time because I don't have any other option. I said when this all started that I was fortunate enough to be the mayor when Remington was at one of its high points. In the last 3 decades.
Right.
We had 1,500 people working there. Then, we go through all the SAFE Act crap and blah, blah, blah. And I says, and now I'm fortunate or unfortunate to be the mayor when they leave.
Yeah, but you might be fortunate to be the one
that brings it back.
Right.
That's a hell of a deal. Yeah.
That's my goal. People can say that, I'm all wet or I'm full of what or whatever, but look, you walk into my office every day and the first thing you see is on a whiteboard in big green letters is Remington. That's the first thing I see when I walk in the door every single day because that's what I need to think about every single day.
Did you spell it right?
Absolutely. It's got stars on both sides,
I want to see if it was prettied up a bit.
No, it's just my handwriting, which my brothers say I write like a girl, so that's a good thing. So yeah, we're very optimistic. We're very in tune and in touch with what's happening there.
Great. That's excellent.
To be determined or to be announced or more to come, I guess, is the best way to put that.
You gotta love good news, though.
Yeah.
You gotta love it.
So
I guess we'll close out on some more good news, too, for the village.
Yep.
New business coming in. The Dollar Tree.
The Dollar Tree. Well, yeah. Even that causes heartache. I don't know why. The Walgreens we know closed and they built just a pharmacy over at the old bowling alley, which they bought and demolished and built a pharmacy only. So that store's been sitting vacant. We worked with the owner, who's out of. That's probably me. No, that's you.
Stuff going off.
Yeah, we worked with the owner who's he's from Manhattan or somewhere like that, and that's a different world down there. And I told him right out. He was asking almost $3 million to buy the place, and I told him right out. I said, dude,
you're not going to get.
You're a couple $1 million too high. He said, what do you mean? I said, this isn't Manhattan. This is LA and New York, man. It's just way too much money. So, we worked, and they found a tenant. Well, I didn't know who it was until a couple weeks ago. Mm-hmm. And when they told me, I was like, this is not going to go over well.
Why? Why is that?
Because there's a Dollar General 100 yards away, and people are all bent out of shape. Well, why didn't they make it this? And why didn't they make it that? And why didn't the village host a meeting to let us have our input? Well, we don't own the facility. I can't.
Yeah.
I can't tell somebody that owns a building what they can and can't put in there unless it's been a moratorium on something that we've.
And okay, so it's not. But you know what? It's better than the building sitting empty.
Well, yeah. And we say that, and people just don't. Well, you could have made it a homeless shelter. I don't have any say over what could or couldn't be.
The village does not own the building.
I don't own the building. Somebody commented, well, I thought it was supposed to be the fire station, a new fire station. Well, that would be great, but why would I take a property that pays
a prime real estate,
$100,000 in property tax and take it off the tax rolls when I could, if I need, we need to build a new firehouse, but that's
a whole other story.
Yeah, it's a whole other story.
Yeah. But that's another podcast.
That's another podcast.
That's
right.
version 2.
I could go find a vacant lot somewhere that pays $100 a year in taxes because it's a vacant lot, build a firehouse on that, and then I'm not losing anything.
Sure.
You know? So, but I understand when I sit back and I take a deep breath after I read these comments, and I understand sort of that they just don't understand how things work. They don't think about the things that I have to think about, or Mayor Kaufman has to think about, or Mayor Barron, or now new Mayor Smithson in Frankfurt. They don't. Mayor Sherry and Herkimer's just completely overwhelmed. They don't think of the things that we have to think about. We have to think about, well, if I take that property off, where am I going to make that money up, and where am I going to find that? We demolished 4 houses in the last 2 years. That's tax revenue gone.
Yeah.
We've sold 3 of the 4, but they're not going to bring in the same tax revenue as if they were
just paying on an empty lot.
They're paying an empty lot
until they develop it, right?
Well, and most of them can't be developed because they're not. The codes don't allow it because of the setbacks and So instead of maybe a $1,500 a year tax revenue, they might pay $500 for a vacant lot.
Yeah. Get into tiny homes.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, they can put a garage on it. If they want to make their garage or put a garage on or whatever. But that's what we sell. We sell them. We offer them to the neighbors first because obviously they've put up with, looking at a vacant, abandoned, collapsing house for 10 years or whatever it was. And 3 of the 4 neighbors have purchased the vacant lot.
And that makes most sense.
Yeah,
right.
Really.
So that's. The Walgreens / Dollar Tree is, to me, it's a good thing. Now, if you don't want to shop at Dollar Tree, don't. I can't. Right. You want to go to Dollar General? Go to Dollar General. But obviously, these corporations go in and they do their studies to see if they're going to make money. If they're not, they're not going to put. They're not going to invest in that type of a facility if they know they're not going to make money.
Exactly. And it's the same thing for like Burger King, McDonald's, all of those guys. They're on the same corner because that draws people who are going to buy fast food.
Yeah,
right.
So here, if you've got a Dollar General, Dollar Tree, whatever, it makes sense that they would be close to each other.
Right. And I'm telling you, that's, as Scott knows, and I'm sure you know, Dave, we call that the busy corner.
Yeah.
Right.
There's, that's where everything comes together in the village. So you're going to look and see Dollar Tree. Oh, I need napkins.
Right. There it is.
Stop, run in, grab a package of napkins and go home.
I think it's great.
And I do
absolutely.
too.
Absolutely.
So it's another building that's no longer vacant. They continue to pay their taxes anyway, so that's not a big deal. But it's going to be
sales tax now.
Exactly. It's going to generate more from that.
Yeah.
And that's countywide. That benefits everybody.
Everybody.
Sure. So when you look in Herkimer, they have a Dollar Tree at Walmart and they have a Dollar General down by Burger King. They're a mile away.
Yeah.
What's
the difference?
People are going to shop where they want to shop.
Not even a mile.
Probably not.
Yeah.
So I take it as a positive. Try to explain to people, no, we didn't have a board meeting to give them permission. We don't have that authority.
Right.
That's just the way it is. They short of, again, like I said, if somebody had come and said, I want to build, this is probably off color, but we're going to open up a gentleman's club. A strip joint. Well, no.
All right, now that.
Oh, boy. Now you want controversy, my friend. Now that's what you want.
I want that instead of the hockey rink. Sorry.
There you go. Then we would probably step in and say, that's probably not a good idea.
I still want the hockey rink.
Yeah. So,
a gentleman's club and hockey rink combined.
That was actually done in Russia.
What?
When we moving?
I'll do a Zamboni time machine.
Oh my God!
When we moving?
Back in the 90s, that was actually
really.
I will do a Zamboni time machine about that just for you,
just for me. Thank you.
So, but no, look. Overall, there's a lot going on, but there's a lot of positive. Is there negative? Absolutely. People are dealing still with dirty water and water main breaks, and their thought processes are. Sometimes a little skewed on why we're doing what we're doing, and they might not agree with it. But again, we're doing what we feel as a board. We're doing what we feel is the best way to make the village progressive and move forward. And I believe overall it's working well, and we're moving ahead.
Yeah, definitely. You know, there was a rough time with Remington closing, but it definitely seems like things are starting to move forward.
Yeah,
and you have no other choice but to be positive and keep moving in the right direction.
And financially, we're in good shape. You know, the Village is in good shape financially. You know, I had somebody say, "Well, you said the Village was in good shape," and then the next day, or in the next breath, you said your water budget, overtime budget, is over because of the main breaks. Well, that's true, but again, this is what people don't understand, and I need to educate them. There's a Village budget, there's a water budget, and there's an electric budget. Those are three separate and distinct.
Right.
You know, the Village budget, which runs the majority of Village operations, we're fine. We're good. Water, obviously, we're going to be over in overtime. We're figuring that out. Electric is where we took the biggest hit from Remington leaving. So we know that we're working on the skin of our teeth on that one. You know, we're doing what we need to do to remedy that. You know, people are going to be upset, but we're starting the process, which is a couple-year process, for a rate increase for our electric. Our electric is dirt cheap.
It is. Everybody says that.
The last time there was a rate increase was 2005.
Wow.
So by the time we get this all done, you're going to be 20 years without paying more for your electric.
Oh, wow.
And it's not going to be, it's not going to be a 20% increase. It might be a couple of cents.
Right.
But that's the revenue we need to keep up with the times.
But your rate is so low anyway. 20% wouldn't be that much to begin with in today's dollars.
And our water rates are extremely low as well. So our utilities are one of our biggest attractions for economic development. I've been told right to my face by folks in Albany, sitting in Albany, that we can't help you with any funding because your water rates are too low. Your people aren't paying enough. So if they paid more, you wouldn't be coming to us asking for money. Okay. I guess that makes sense in the political world. I guess that makes sense. That's why I'm not good at politics. And I looked at the people and I said, what? What are you, out of your minds?
Well, sure, that makes sense to somebody who's living in an area where they're paying massive rates for their electric and water.
Exactly. Right? My monthly water bill is like $38.
What?
Now, Ed, and this is where people are.
Is that combined water sewer, or is that just water?
No, that's just water. That's just water.
What's your combined?
Sewer. I think my sewer bill's like $28.
So I'm asking because I just paid mine this morning, $150.
Yeah, no, not even close.
For every 3 months down here.
For both.
What?
We're every 3 months down here.
Yeah.
Right. We're every month.
They're every month.
You're every month.
We just changed to month. Quarterly, my water bill was $100.
Okay, so you're about the same.
About the same.
About the same. Yeah.
Quarterly, my water bill before we changed to monthly was $99 to $100.
Okay.
So it's about the same.
Yeah, it's right.
So
I'm just curious.
You in these.
Well, I saw your eyes lighting up over there. I was like, oh wait, we better clarify this for him because
and this is
because he's going to move into your house.
No, I don't care.
Then I would do to save money.
I got an attic and a cellar that are wide open. We can put a studio in there. We'll be good to go.
We could do that.
But on top of that, $38 is what people are getting confused with the water rates going up. Are those two assessments that we put on there to pay back the sewer bond and the water bond, which totals $19.65 a month
for every person.
For every person that utilizes our water and sewer. Okay, so some don't have sewer because, like the trailer parks on Barron's Road, they get the water charge, but they have septic, so they don't get the sewer charge.
Yeah.
Right.
So even I had to sit down and explain this to my wife because she was like, why is our water bill every month? Why is our water bill $60? Our water bill every quarter was only $100. No, I said, because you're adding. And the board sat down and we thought it would be easier for folks to pay, let's say it's $19.65, but $20 a month rather than $60 a quarter.
Right.
So my water bill would have been $160 a quarter.
Right.
If we'd have kept it that way. I think it's easier to budget $58 a month than it is.
Sure.
Yeah.
So, and I explain that to people on a daily basis. And again, that was all sent to the public. We had public hearings. This is how we're doing it. This is what's going to happen. Sent it in their bills. I never got that. Yes, you did. You just didn't pay attention to it.
It's in there.
And now that you're getting your bill and you're getting and it's coming out of your pocket, now you're bent out of shape about it.
Yeah.
So, we'll explain it. We had a gentleman come to our meeting Monday night that didn't understand it. When I explained it to him, he says, "Oh, okay. I don't like it, but I understand it now."
Right.
Well, I don't like paying more money either.
Yeah, I know, right? Who does?
And some people don't understand that just because I'm on the village board or the mayor doesn't mean I don't pay the same things you do.
Right.
A lady called me the other day. Well, you don't care. What do you mean I don't care? Well, you don't pay taxes, you don't pay water and light, and you get health care for free because you're the mayor.
What?
I said to her, and
I want that.
I was complete silence, and she says, are you still there? Did you hang up on me? I says, no, ma'am, I'm still here. She says, I says, if you find a municipality in New York State that's close and they do that, let me know. I'll move there and run for office. Those are great benefits.
Yeah,
you know?
I want that.
Some lady accusing me of, misappropriation of funds because my kids have new cars and new houses. My kids haven't lived in the Village of Ilion in a decade. and the fact that you know what my kids drive and where they live is pretty creepy. My son was 900 miles away in Charlotte. So if you know what he's driving and where he lives, that's weird.
Yeah.
You know?
Stalked him on Facebook.
Yeah.
Really.
Get those new car pictures.
Yeah. What they buy and how they live isn't my problem. They're grown adults in their 30s. I don't, whatever they. So, but that's just some of the
stuff.
Yeah, well, it's the uninformed comments that really, I wish people would just be a little more informed and ask questions.
Just ask.
Look, they're not always going to like the answer, and I get that. Sometimes I don't like the answer I have to give, but sure. It's the way it is. So, but we'll keep on it. We'll keep at it. It's all good. Do I get a little bent out of shape at times? Absolutely. And then I go home and just pet the dog and watch TV for a while
and just say to yourself, hockey season's almost here.
A couple of deep breaths and we'll be back to be back to listening to Sam Rosen's last year on the air.
Exactly. Well, John, we appreciate you coming on here and telling everybody this because this is really important to be able to get the word out as much as possible, and we're so glad that you chose our show.
Yeah, no, I'm glad I got a hold of you, and we can work this out, and hopefully we can do this once a month or once every other few weeks or whatever. And
I really think we should make this a regular thing.
Yeah.
This is excellent.
Perfect. All right.
A lot of good info.
Thank you, my friend.
Thank you, brother. Appreciate it. Dave, thank you.
All right, you're welcome.
All right, everybody, that was Mayor John Stevens from the Village of Ilion, and that is all the time we have for Small Town Life. Thanks for listening, and we will see you next time.